Think Palau is just about diving and beaches? What if I told you this tiny Pacific nation has only 18,000 people, but operates one of the world's most powerful matriarchies? Wait until you find out women literally choose who becomes chief here. You won't believe fact number 7 about their ancient pygmy population. Number 15. Palau uses American dollars but isn't American territory. You heard right. This Pacific island nation of barely 18,000 people operates on US currency despite being completely independent since 1994. Here's the crazy part. They entered into something called a Compact of Free Association with the United States for 50 years, meaning America handles their defense while Palau gets to use the dollar and receive millions in aid annually. Picture this. You're island hopping through pristine coral atolls, paying for your $15 coconut with crisp American 20s, yet you're in a sovereign nation that's never been a US state or territory. The locals joke that they have the best of both worlds, American money without American taxes. This unusual arrangement means Palauans can travel freely to the US for work or education, creating a brain drain where many young people never return home. It's like having a rich uncle who pays your bills but lets you make your own rules. Number 14. Only 9 out of 500 islands are actually inhabited by humans. Sounds unbelievable, but Palau consists of over 500 volcanic and limestone islands scattered across 300 square kilometers of pristine Pacific Ocean, yet 98% of them remain completely untouched by permanent human settlement. Think deserted tropical paradise, and you've got it exactly right. These uninhabited islands aren't empty because they're uninhabitable. Many have fresh water, fertile soil, and protected harbors. The reason is cultural traditional Palauan society was organized around specific clan territories, and only certain islands held spiritual or strategic significance worthy of permanent settlement. Picture flying over this archipelago and seeing hundreds of emerald jewels dotting turquoise waters, each one looking like the perfect movie set for a castaway film, knowing that most have never felt the footprint of a permanent resident. Locals say you could spend years exploring these ghost islands, each one holding secrets of ancient settlements, hidden caves, and ecosystems that evolved in complete isolation. It's like having your own private chain of tropical islands, except they belong to everyone and no one at the same time. Number 13. Their traditional navigation uses 0 modern instruments for months at sea. Here's the scary part. Palauan master navigators still sail across thousands of miles of open Pacific Ocean, using nothing but stars, wind patterns, wave swells, and bird behavior, spending months at sea without GPS, compass, or even a map. These sea voyages aren't tourist attractions or cultural demonstrations, they're real journeys connecting Palau to other Micronesian islands for trade, family visits, and cultural exchanges. Picture being 500 miles from the nearest land in a traditional outrigger canoe, navigating by feeling subtle changes in wave patterns with your body, reading the night sky like a roadmap and knowing that one wrong turn means never seeing home again. The knowledge required is so complex that master navigators train for decades, memorizing the movement patterns of over 200 stars, learning to distinguish between 20 different types of ocean swells, and developing an almost supernatural ability to sense land from miles away by watching cloud formations and seabird flight patterns. Think your GPS is reliable? Think again. These navigators have a success rate that would make modern sailors jealous, crossing vast oceanic distances with accuracy that rivals satellite technology. Number 12. Women literally choose who becomes chief in this matriarchal society. Wait until you find out that Palau operates as one of the world's few remaining true matriarchies, where high-ranking women called queens select all the male chiefs, not the other way around. For thousands of years, Palauan society has functioned on matrilineal principles believed to have descended from ancient Javanese traditions. Here's how it works. When a chief position opens up, the senior women of the clan meet in private, evaluate potential male candidates, and make the final decision based on wisdom, leadership ability, and family connections. The chosen chief serves at the pleasure of these women and can be removed if he fails to meet their expectations. Picture a boardroom full of powerful women in traditional dress, deliberating over which man deserves to lead their community, while the potential chiefs wait nervously outside like job applicants. This isn't ceremonial. These women wield real political and economic power, controlling land inheritance, family wealth, and major community decisions. Locals joke that Palau solved gender equality centuries before the West even started discussing it, creating a system where men may hold the visible leadership titles, but women hold the actual power to grant or revoke those positions. Number 11. Ancient pygmy people lived here for over 3,000 years until mysteriously disappearing. Sounds like science fiction, but carbon dating of cave burials proves that a population of small-statured people, likely the result of insular dwarfism, inhabited Palau from at least 3,000 years ago until about 900 years ago. These weren't just short people. They were a distinct population that had adapted to island life over millennia, with skeletal remains showing significantly smaller bone structure than modern Palauans. Here's the mysterious part: they completely vanished around 1000 AD with no clear explanation for their disappearance. Picture these islands populated by people who had evolved over thousands of years to thrive in this specific environment, developing unique cultural practices and survival strategies, then suddenly vanishing from the archaeological record, just as the ancestors of modern Palauans were arriving. Some theories suggest they were absorbed through intermarriage, others propose disease or warfare. But the truth remains one of the Pacific's great unsolved mysteries. Local legends speak of small, skilled people who could navigate the reefs in the darkest nights and new secret cave systems that even modern Palauans haven't fully explored. It's like discovering that hobbits were real and lived in your backyard for 3 millennia. Number 10. The men's meeting houses contain intricate artwork that would make European cathedrals jealous. You won't believe the artistic sophistication hidden inside Palau's traditional bi-men's meeting houses that serve as both community centers and masterpieces of indigenous Pacific art. These wooden structures raised on stone platforms are covered inside and out with elaborate paintings and carvings depicting legendary stories, historical events, and spiritual beliefs using techniques passed down for over 1,000 years. Here's what blows visitors' minds. The artwork rivals anything you'd find in European churches or Asian temples, but uses entirely local materials and motifs. Picture walking into what looks like a simple thatched building and finding yourself surrounded by vibrant murals showing epic battles between gods and mortals, creation myths involving giant breadfruit trees, and detailed genealogies of every important family on the island. The most famous Bai in Ri village features over 30 different legendary scenes painted in brilliant reds, yellows and blacks made from local clays, plant dyes and charcoal. These weren't museums. They were active community centers where men gathered daily to make decisions, share stories and pass cultural knowledge to younger generations. Think of them as combination city hall, library, art gallery and men's club, all rolled into one architectural masterpiece. The level of artistic sophistication achieved by a society most outsiders consider primitive challenges, everything Western education teaches about indigenous Pacific cultures. Number 9. Inheritance laws here would shock any Western lawyer. Here's the mind-bending part. Traditional Palauan inheritance operates on a completely matrilineal system where lands, titles, and wealth pass exclusively through the female line, with decisions made by senior women and male elders working together. Your father could be the richest man on the island, but you inherit nothing from him. Everything comes through your mother's family line. Picture trying to explain this to an American probate court. A man dies owning vast properties and businesses, but legally, everything goes to his sister's children, not his own kids. The system gets more complex when you realize that modern Palau now follows American-style inheritance laws for things like Social Security and bank accounts, creating a bizarre dual system where traditional lands follow ancient matrilineal rules, while modern assets follow patriarchal Western patterns. Locals navigate this by maintaining detailed genealogical knowledge going back generations, knowing exactly which properties belong to which matrilineal clan, and which assets fall under modern inheritance laws. This isn't just cultural tradition, it's legally enforceable, meaning wealthy Palauan families must carefully structure their modern investments to align with traditional inheritance expectations or risk family conflicts that could last generations. Think inheritance law is complicated in your country? Try managing a system where half your assets follow 3,000-year-old matrilineal traditions and half follow American legal precedents. Number 8. Their population density creates one of the world's most unusual social dynamics. Wait until you find out that Palau's entire population of 18,000 people creates social dynamics so intense that privacy becomes virtually impossible. And honestly, everyone literally knows everyone else's business within hours. Picture living in a place where dating someone new means the entire country knows about it by the end of the week. where job interviews are conducted by people who went to elementary school with your cousins, and where committing a minor crime means facing not just legal consequences, but social shame from every person you've ever met. Here's the fascinating part. This creates both incredible social cohesion and, suffocating social pressure. Locals describe it as living in a small town where you can never move away and start fresh somewhere else. Crime rates are incredibly low because stealing from someone means stealing from your neighbor's cousin's best friend's family member. Business dealings operate on handshake agreements because your reputation is literally your most valuable asset in a place where everyone knows your entire family history. The flip side creates unique challenges. Domestic violence victims can't seek help anonymously, entrepreneurs struggle with business failures becoming public embarrassment, and teenagers rebel by leaving for college in America and never returning. Think small-town gossip is bad? Try living somewhere where the entire country has fewer people than a mid-sized American high school, and everyone is connected through complex family networks going back centuries. Number 7. They banned commercial fishing and tourism in 80% of their waters, and their economy boomed. Sounds unbelievable, but Palau created the world's largest marine protected area relative to their territory size, banning all commercial fishing and limiting tourism in 80% of their exclusive economic zone, and paradoxically, their economy grew stronger, not weaker. In 2015, they established the Palau National Marine Sanctuary, protecting 500,000 square kilometers of ocean, an area larger than Spain, from all extractive activities. Here's the counterintuitive part. By severely restricting access to their natural resources, they increased their value and attracted higher-paying eco-tourists willing to pay premium prices for pristine experiences. Picture turning away millions of dollars in immediate fishing revenue and cruise ship tourism, betting everything on long-term environmental protection, and watching your gamble pay off as marine life rebounds and luxury eco-resorts charge $1,000 per night for access to untouched reefs. The policy works because scarcity creates value. When most of the world's reefs are dying or overcrowded, Palau offers something truly rare. Waters so pristine that marine biologists use them as baseline studies for what healthy ocean ecosystems should look like. Local fishing communities initially resisted the restrictions but now work as highly paid guides and marine monitors, earning more from conservation than they ever did from commercial fishing. It's like voluntarily putting 80% of your country's natural wealth in a vault and discovering that the remaining 20% becomes 10 times more valuable because everyone knows it's the last of its kind. Number 6. Their tourism industry operates on a revolutionary oath system that changes how visitors behave. Here's the scary part. Palau requires every tourist to sign a legally binding pledge stamped in their passport, promising to act responsibly toward the environment, and violations can result in fines up to $1 million or immediate deportation. The Palau Pledge isn't just a feel-good marketing gimmick, it's enforceable law that holds visitors personally accountable for their environmental impact during their stay. Picture arriving at the airport and being required to raise your right hand and swear an oath before immigration officers, promising to take only pictures, leave only footprints, and kill only time during your visit. The pledge is printed directly in visitors' passports in both English and Palauan, creating a permanent record of their commitment that follows them internationally. Here's what makes it revolutionary. Unlike other destinations that try to manage tourist behavior through rules and restrictions, Palau creates personal responsibility by making conservation a sworn promise rather than an imposed regulation. The psychological effect is profound. Tourists who might normally ignore environmental guidelines find themselves policing their own behavior because they've made a formal commitment. Local authorities report dramatically improved visitor behavior since implementing the pledge, with incidents of coral damage, littering, and wildlife harassment dropping by over 70%. Think ecotourism is just marketing hype? Palau proves that when you make environmental protection a personal oath rather than a suggestion, people take it seriously enough to change centuries-old vacation habits. Number 5. Their strategic location makes them a crucial player in US-China tensions despite having fewer people than a football stadium. You won't believe how this tiny nation of 18,000 people sits at the epicenter of the world's most important geopolitical rivalry, with both American and Chinese officials treating Palau's president like he leads a major world power. Here's the mind-blowing reality. Palau's location in the Western Pacific gives it strategic importance far beyond its population size, controlling sea lanes crucial for both American military operations and Chinese trade routes. Picture a country smaller than most American cities holding meetings with top Pentagon officials about regional security, while simultaneously receiving economic overtures from Beijing worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The geopolitical drama plays out in surreal ways. Chinese tourists suddenly stopped visiting after Palau maintained diplomatic relations with Taiwan, costing the tourism industry millions in revenue overnight, while American military aid increased to compensate for the economic pressure. Local residents find themselves living through a real-world game of Risk, where their tiny islands represent strategic chess pieces in a superpower competition they never asked to join. The irony is palpable. Palauan leaders who govern fewer people than a major university enrollment find themselves briefing American admirals on regional security threats and receiving personal phone calls from Taiwanese presidents thanking them for their diplomatic loyalty. Think small countries don't matter in international relations? Palau proves that strategic geography trumps population size when superpowers are competing for Pacific dominance, making every Palauan citizen inadvertently important to global balance of power calculations. Number 4. They created a revolutionary solution to brain drain that other small nations are copying worldwide. Here's what sounds impossible but actually works. Palau solved the classic small nation problem of losing their best-educated young people to larger countries by creating a unique scholarship system that guarantees high-paying jobs and leadership positions for students who return home after foreign education. The program works like this. Promising students receive full scholarships to attend universities in America, Australia, or Japan, but in exchange, they sign contracts promising to return to Palau for a minimum period and serve in specific roles addressing national development needs. Picture a country smaller than most American suburbs, systematically producing doctors, engineers, marine biologists, and business leaders trained at world-class universities, then successfully convincing them to return home to tiny islands in the Pacific instead of pursuing lucrative careers in major global cities. Here's the genius part. Instead of competing with developed nations for talent retention by trying to match their salaries and opportunities, Palau offers something money can't buy: the chance to have enormous personal impact in shaping an entire nation's future. Returning scholars don't just get jobs, they become instant community leaders, government advisors, and policymakers with influence far beyond what they could achieve as junior employees in large organizations abroad. The program has achieved an 80% return rate, unprecedented among small island nations, by recognizing that some people prefer being big fish in small ponds over being anonymous employees in massive corporations. Other small countries now send delegations to study Palau's model, hoping to replicate a system that turns brain drain into brain circulation while building local capacity for sustainable development. Number 3. Their traditional gender roles would make modern feminists' heads explode in the best possible way. Wait until you find out that traditional Palauan society achieved gender equality through a system so sophisticated that it makes modern Western attempts at workplace parity look primitive by comparison. Here's how it works. Men and women have completely separate but equally powerful spheres of authority, with neither gender able to make major decisions without the other's consent, creating checks and balances that prevent either sex from dominating. Picture a society where men handle external affairs like warfare, diplomacy, and long-distance trade, while women control internal affairs including land ownership, resource allocation, and succession planning. But here's the crucial difference from patriarchal societies. Neither sphere is considered subordinate to the other. The system gets more complex when you realize that women's authority isn't just cultural tradition, but legal reality backed by real economic power through land ownership and inheritance control. Traditional Palauan women could and did veto male chiefs' decisions, declare wars, and negotiate peace treaties, wielding political power that European women wouldn't achieve until the 20th century. Modern Palau blends this traditional equality with contemporary opportunities, creating unique dynamics where women expect to be treated as equals, not because of recent feminist movements, but because of ancient cultural precedents. The result confuses Western visitors who arrive expecting either traditional patriarchal societies or modern feminist activism, and instead find something entirely different: a culture where gender equality evolved organically over centuries without requiring political movements or legislative battles. Think achieving gender equality requires centuries of struggle against patriarchal systems? Palau suggests that some societies solved the problem thousands of years ago by designing complementary power structures rather than hierarchical ones. Number 2. They operate one of the world's most exclusive tourism models, and it's making them rich beyond imagination. Sounds unbelievable, but Palau deliberately limits tourist arrivals to maintain environmental sustainability and charges premium prices for access to pristine experiences, generating more tourism revenue per capita than destinations receiving millions more visitors. Here's the revolutionary part. While other countries compete to attract maximum tourist numbers, Palau caps annual visitors at levels their infrastructure and environment can sustainably support, then charges premium prices for the privilege of accessing what becomes increasingly rare, untouched natural beauty. Picture a tourism strategy that tells most potential visitors, no, you can't come here, while charging the select few who do gain access prices so high that local operators earn more from 100 tourists than mass market destinations earn from 10,000. The model works because scarcity creates luxury value. When travelers know they're among only a few thousand people per year allowed to dive specific reefs or visit certain islands, they're willing to pay luxury prices for the exclusivity. Local dive operators charge over $200 per day, not because their costs are high, but because demand vastly exceeds the limited supply of permits issued. Hotels book up months in advance despite charging rates comparable to five-star resorts in major cities, because visitors know they're paying for something genuinely rare rather than just expensive marketing. The genius lies in understanding that environmental limits can become economic advantages. By accepting fewer tourists, Palau attracts wealthier tourists, willing to pay premium prices for authentic experiences unavailable anywhere else. Other small island nations are studying Palau's model, realizing that competing on quantity leads to a race to the bottom, while competing on quality and exclusivity creates sustainable prosperity for local communities. Number 1. This tiny nation holds the key to understanding how humanity can survive climate change. And the world isn't paying attention. Here's the most mind-blowing reality. Palau has created a working model for how small nations can adapt to climate change, protect their environments, and maintain economic prosperity simultaneously, but most of the world ignores their innovations because they're just a small Pacific island. Think climate change solutions require massive technological investments and international cooperation? Palau proves that smart policy design, community commitment, and strategic thinking can achieve what wealthy nations struggle to accomplish with billions in spending. Their integrated approach combines media, underwater footage of marine protected areas in Palau, scientists tagging marine life in clear blue waters, marine protected areas that rebuild ocean resilience, sustainable tourism that funds conservation while limiting environmental impact, strategic international relationships that provide security without compromising sovereignty, and traditional knowledge systems that offer time-tested solutions to environmental challenges. Here's what makes this globally significant. As sea levels rise and ocean ecosystems collapse worldwide, Palau's model demonstrates how coastal and island nations can adapt, survive, and even thrive by completely rethinking the relationship between economic development and environmental protection. Picture a laboratory for sustainable civilization operating in real time with 18,000 test subjects, proving that human societies can live in harmony with natural systems while maintaining modern living standards. And the international community treats it as a curiosity rather than a blueprint for survival. The tragedy is that while climate conferences spend years debating theoretical solutions, Palau quietly implements practical ones, creating media, fishermen returning with sustainable catch, local seafood market in Palau with diverse fresh fish, food security through sustainable fishing quotas, economic stability through ecotourism premiums, and environmental resilience through science-based conservation. Innovations that could be adapted by coastal communities worldwide facing similar challenges. Future historians may recognize Palau not as a tiny curiosity in the Pacific, but as the place where humanity first figured out how to build truly sustainable civilization in the face of environmental crisis. So we've just discovered Palau's most incredible secrets, from ancient pygmy civilizations to revolutionary climate solutions that could save the world. Which one shocked you the most? Have you ever experienced a matriarchal society or signed a pledge in your passport? Subscribe for more hidden gems about countries that will completely change how you see our world.